Move on to business news now, and we're starting with quite a turnaround in the airline sector. Qantas going from the brink of bankruptcy to profits again. This is in just a few years. Well, Sean Pellegrin is on set to tell us how they've done it.
That's right, Stuart. The Australian flag carrier airline has now fully recovered from the losses incurred during the pandemic. And it expects strong demand for travel over the next 2 years as well. Now, the company accumulated losses equivalent to €4.5 billion because of COVID-19, with lockdowns preventing people from flying and Australia closing down state and international borders. It was at one point just weeks away from bankruptcy, but in the 6 months to December, before tax profits hit a figure of 1.4 billion Australian dollars, or close to 920 million euros. In 2021, though, the company generated losses equivalent to 1.17 billion euros, while only generating a small profit of 79 million euros in 2020. Bryan Quinn has the details.
Flying high in the land down under, Qantas has posted pre-tax profits of just over 1.4 billion Australian dollars, roughly 920 million euros, for the 6 months ending in December. CEO Alan Joyce says it's clear skies ahead for Australia's flagship carrier.
While interest rates and inflation are expected to hit discretionary spending at some point, we've yet to see any signs of that in our bookings, in our forward bookings. In fact, the research shows that travel is one area that people want to prioritise over the next 12 months.
Rebounding demand for air travel helped boost overall revenues to 6.4 billion euros, triple the previous year's figure. It's the company's first return to profitability since the pandemic hit, as Australia implemented some of the world's strictest travel restrictions. Not everyone is cheering, though. Labour lawmakers have accused Qantas of profiteering, with ticket prices now 20% higher than in 2021. Executives blame high fuel prices and increased demand. The company is also fighting a ruling that it illegally outsourced 1,700 jobs as it laid off thousands of workers early in the pandemic. Qantas received some $2 billion in taxpayer COVID funds while paying out lavish executive bonuses. Its reputation for reliability and efficiency, meanwhile, has been battered by a flood of cancellations, delays, and lost bags.
Investors poured over minutes of the last U.S. Federal Reserve meeting when they were published on Wednesday, looking for clues on the direction of monetary policy. The fight to bring down inflation to the target 2% still the main driver for the Fed, although the majority of its officials support a slowdown in the pace of interest rate rises to 0.25 percentage points. While investors digesting that news and those minutes this morning in Europe at the open, we're seeing mostly higher trading in Europe. Those figures are going to come up now shortly. For that's there we go. See the DAX in Frankfurt up by 1/3%. The Paris CAC 40 up just under that much. The FTSE in London, though, down. And we're seeing mixed trading in Asia as well. The Nikkei in Tokyo closed for the Emperor's birthday national holiday. The Kospi in Seoul trading higher, finishing the session higher at 0.9%. This as the Bank of Korea kept its key interest rate unchanged at 3.5%. After a year of rate hikes, the move coming after South Korea's GDP contracted slightly, around 0.4% in the last quarter. To South Africa now, where Eskom chief Andre de Ruyter has been ousted from his post with immediate effect, even as he was scheduled to leave in a month. The former head of the country's state-owned utility had just given a televised interview where he accused politicians from the ruling African National Congress of engaging in corruption that has worsened the rolling blackouts that have been a near daily occurrence in the country lately. De Ruyter has previously survived an alleged assassination attempt by cyanide-laced coffee. And let's end with sandwich chain Subway trying to plug into other revenue streams and make a buck out of the transition to electric. The company is planning to build so-called oases complete with green spaces, playgrounds, and bathrooms where people can charge their electric vehicles. It's partnering with startup Gen Z EV Solutions on this project. The plan is to start with smaller stations in the U.S. with franchise holders this year and then see how it goes. Back to you, Stuart.
Yeah, that looked very strange, is the only word I can think of looking at those images behind you there, Charles. Thank you very much, Charles. Charles Pellegrin with the business news for us on France 24.